The sun was already sinking behind the broken rooftops of Maple Street when Ethan Cole wiped his hands on an oil-stained rag and leaned back against the frame of his garage. The sign above the door, Cole Auto Repair, hung crooked, one bolt missing, squeaking whenever the wind blew. Ethan had stopped meaning to fix it years ago. There were always more important things to repair first. Like survival. The garage had been his father's before it became his. Same cracked concrete floor. Same aging tool cabinets with drawers that stuck unless you kicked them just right. Same faint smell of motor oil soaked so deep into the walls it would probably never leave. What had left was the steady flow of customers. Newer shops with shiny equipment and credit card financing had taken most of the business. Ethan still worked dawn to dusk. It just didn't always pay. He was about to close up for the day when he heard it, a strained, uneven engine rumble crawling down the street. It wasn't the sound of a modern car. It was deeper, rougher, like something old refusing to die quietly. Ethan turned just in time to see it. A 1970 Chevy Chevelle, its once glorious muscle now dulled by faded maroon paint and creeping rust, rolled to a wheezing stop in front of his garage. Smoke puffed from beneath the hood as if the car itself was exhausted. Ethan straightened instinctively. Anyone who loved cars recognized a Chevelle on sight. The driver's door opened, and a woman stepped out slowly, as if unsure the car would survive another movement. She looked to be in her early 30s, dressed simply in worn jeans and a gray sweater that had seen better days. Her hair was pulled into a loose knot, a few strands falling around her face. There was nothing flashy about her, nothing that suggested money. If anything, she looked tired. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice hesitant as she approached. "I saw the light on and I was hoping you might still be open." Ethan glanced at the clock on the wall. He should have been closing. But he nodded anyway. "What seems to be the trouble?" She gestured helplessly toward the car. "It keeps stalling. I've been to 2 mechanics already. One said it wasn't worth fixing. The other quoted a number I just can't afford." Ethan lifted the hood. Heat and smoke rolled out. He examined the engine carefully, his expression growing serious. "This isn't a quick fix," he said honestly. "Fuel lines clogged. Distributor timing's off. Wiring's been patched too many times. Whoever worked on this before, they were guessing." Her shoulders sank slightly. "That's what I was afraid of." He looked at her, really looked this time. She wasn't complaining. She wasn't demanding. Just quietly bracing herself for bad news. "It'll take a few days," Ethan continued. "Maybe longer." She swallowed. "I don't have much money." Ethan hesitated. His father's voice echoed in his mind. A man's skill isn't measured by what he charges, it's measured by who he refuses to help. "Pay me what you can," Ethan said finally. "We'll figure the rest out." Her eyes widened. "You'd really do that?" He shrugged. "Car's worth saving." A small smile broke across her face, like sunlight through clouds. "Thank you. I'm Clara." Ethan. Over the next few days, the Chevelle became Ethan's full focus. Beneath the rust and neglect, he discovered something surprising. The parts weren't cheap knockoffs. They were original, carefully selected, rare. This car hadn't been abandoned. It had been protected, until something went wrong. Clara came by every evening, never interrupting, never rushing him. She brought coffee once, sandwiches another time, always modest, always thoughtful. "You don't have to keep doing that," Ethan told her one night. "I want to," she replied. "Besides, I like watching you work." That caught him off guard. She asked questions, too, not casual ones. Real questions. About compression ratios. About factory variations in Chevelle models. About why Ethan preferred restoring instead of replacing. "You know a lot about cars," he said one evening, tightening a bolt. She smiled faintly. "My dad taught me." There was something in her tone, soft, guarded. As the days passed, Ethan grew more curious. He found markings on the engine block he'd only seen in old manuals. Hand-etched notes under the dash. Custom work done with obsessive care. "This car means a lot to you," Ethan said gently. Clara nodded. "It's the last thing my father left me." The garage fell quiet after that. On the 4th day, Ethan finally turned the key. The engine hesitated, then roared to life, deep and powerful, like it remembered what it once was. The sound filled the garage, rich and alive. Clara covered her mouth, tears springing to her eyes. "I thought I'd lost it forever." Ethan shut the hood. She's not perfect, but she's strong. She handed him an envelope, her hands trembling slightly. I know this isn't enough. Ethan peeked inside. It barely covered the parts. He closed it and handed it back. Keep it. You'll need it more than I will. Her eyes searched his face. Why? Because someone once did the same for me, he replied. Clara drove away that evening, the Chevelle's engine purring confidently down the street. Ethan watched until the taillights disappeared. He had no idea that the woman he'd helped was about to return, not as a struggling neighbor, but as the key to a future he never imagined. 3 days passed after Clara drove away in the revived Chevelle, and life at Cole Auto Repair slipped back into its familiar rhythm. Quiet mornings, uncertain afternoons, and evenings filled with the echo of tools instead of customers. Ethan told himself not to think about her, but the sound of that engine still rang in his ears. A car like that didn't come around often. Neither did a person like Clara. On the fourth morning, Ethan was under the hood of an aging pickup when the ground seemed to hum. Not the rattle of an old engine, but something smoother. He slid out from beneath the truck just as a line of black SUVs rolled slowly onto Maple Street, their polished surfaces reflecting the cracked pavement and worn-down houses like a mirror to a forgotten world. One SUV became two. Then three. They parked directly in front of his garage. Ethan stood frozen, rag still in his hand. His first thought was that someone had made a terrible mistake. His second was that he was about to lose the garage he could barely afford to keep. Doors opened. Men and women stepped out wearing tailored suits, discreet earpieces, and expressions that did not belong on Maple Street. One of them spoke quietly into a headset while another surveyed the surroundings as if expecting danger to leap out from behind the rusted dumpster. Then the back door of the lead SUV opened. Clara stepped out. But she wasn't the Clara Ethan remembered. Gone were the faded sweater and worn jeans. She wore a tailored coat the color of midnight, clean lines hugging her frame with effortless elegance. Her hair was styled neatly, her posture confident. She looked like someone used to being listened to. For a moment, Ethan didn't recognize her. When their eyes met, her expression softened. "Ethan," she said, stepping forward. The suits immediately gave her space. "What's going on?" Ethan asked, his voice low. "I owe you an explanation," she replied. "And an apology." She gestured toward his small office. "May we talk?" Inside, the room felt suddenly smaller. Clara remained standing, as if unsure she deserved the chair. "My full name is Clara Whitmore," she began. "My father was Henry Whitmore." Ethan frowned. The name stirred something distant. "Whitmore Automotive," she nodded. "Founder, CEO, collector, obsessive." The air seemed to leave the room. Whitmore Automotive Group wasn't just successful, it was legendary. Private auctions, rare prototypes, restoration projects that made headlines. "The Chevelle," Ethan said slowly. "Isn't just a Chevelle," Clara finished. "It's a prototype, designed by my father, custom engineered, one of one." Ethan sat down heavily. "After my father died," she continued, "everyone wanted something from me. Advisors, investors, family members I'd never met. They all looked at me like a balance sheet." She paused, swallowing. "I needed to disappear, to remember who I was without the money." "So you pretended to be broke?" Ethan asked, not accusing, just trying to understand. "Yes," she said honestly. "I lived quietly, drove the Chevelle myself. When it broke down, I decided not to use my name. Not my resources. Why come to me?" She smiled sadly. "Because the shop across town refused to touch it." "You didn't." Clara reached into her bag and placed a thin folder on his desk. "I watched you," she said. "How you worked. How you explained things without talking down to me. How you refused more money than I offered." She met his eyes. "You helped me when you believed I had nothing to give you in return." Ethan stared at the folder but didn't open it. "I'm not interested in charity," he said. "This isn't charity," she replied gently. "It's an opportunity." He opened the folder. Blueprints, business plans, legal documents. At the top, bold letters read, "Cole Classic Motors. I want you to run my classic restoration division," Clara said. "Fully funded. New location. Modern equipment. Your name on the door." Ethan shook his head. "I don't even have a business degree." "My father didn't either," she said. "He had integrity." He flipped through the pages, stunned. "What's the catch? No debt. No silent takeover. 5 years from now, full ownership transfers to you." Silence filled the room. Why? Ethan asked again. Clara's voice broke slightly. Because when I was just a woman with a broken car, you treated me like a neighbor, not a secret millionaire. Outside, the Chevelle rolled into view, gleaming now, restored beyond recognition. The maroon paint shimmered. Chrome gleamed like jewelry. The engine purred like a promise. I want this car to live in your shop, Clara said. Not as inventory. As a reminder. Months later, Cole Classic Motors opened in a renovated warehouse downtown. The story spread fast, about a poor mechanic whose honesty rebuilt more than engines. Collectors flew in from across the country. Ethan hired apprentices from neighborhoods like his own. People with talent but no connections. On opening day, Clara stood beside him, smiling quietly as the ribbon was cut. Do you ever regret it? Ethan asked her later. Disappearing? She asked. No, she replied. Finding you. And in the center of the showroom sat the Chevelle, not for sale. Because some engines don't just restore cars. They restore faith.